Greetings, friends. Quick video here, a little tips and tricks kind of thing. It's nothing prolific. It's nothing that's not already readily available on the Rane YouTube page. If you haven't gone on the Rane YouTube page and watched their firmware releases, their tips and tricks, I really suggest you do. I actually thought everybody kind of knew about this, but in passing over the last year, I've bumped into a handful of people who have either seen me play or, vis-a-vis conversations, has said, I didn't know that was a thing. So I'm going to go over 3 quick things that are accessible through your waveform display on the Rane 72. The first one is something that I really don't use too much, but I know a lot of guys do, and it's key sync. Now, the thing with key sync is that it's a great functionality, or maybe you hate it, that's fine. But the problem is, again, the reason why some of us gravitate to this mixer is because we didn't want to be at our computers. So getting into the key sync feature, which unlike your library is a part of your computer, which is a very small little box in the corner, so navigating to that during a set can be kind of problematic. So the way to do key sync on your screen is very simple. You just tap the key, and now it automatically adjusts the pitch so they're in sync. If you don't like it, you're like, oh God, that sounds horrible, undo it. Now, the real reason I made this video is for this feature. For those of us who are scratch DJs or open format or whatever, I leave it at that because most turntablists don't turn key lock on, and for good reason. Key lock, the original Scratch Live algorithm, was relatively narrow, which means as soon as you started doing drags and tears and platter stops, it sounded okay. When we jumped up to pitch and time, it was a vast improvement algorithm-wise, sound-wise. On so many levels, it's just a huge improvement. But the problem was, with all these devices doing plus and negative 50 or even 100, from a CDJ to a PLX to a reloop or even a modded 1200, they really widened the threshold for when pitch and time engages and disengages. So when you're trying to do things like tears and drags, platter stops, and wind downs, the key lock holds on and tries to maintain the key while you're doing all these things. So a platter stop or a break often gets cut off. You won't even get the second half of it. Or if you have your decks tuned properly and you like that nice slow platter stop or break, you won't get it. It ain't gonna happen. Now, if you really want to mess with this, try to do some really slow drags while you have pitch and time on, and you'll find that little threshold where pitch and time is trying to decide whether to adjust the pitch or not. Now, the way to get around this is you're going to hold the shift button, which is right under my camera, and then you're just going to tap this. That's going to give you the pitch and time logo. And now what this does is when you're cutting, you can just reach up and enable and disenable it. So now when you're playing and you're like, oh, I got a bar here where I have to make an announcement, and then I'm going to come back in and drop this track, but I'm going to cut for, a half a measure, and it's a vocal. So I want, I'm going to do like a drag chirp combo, so I need that sound to do what the record should do. So you can just reach up here and pop that, done. The other thing that's really simple, a lot of people really liked on the 62, the knob encoder for loops. Now what they've done with this is they've moved it up here. If you're in waveform view, this knob is now encoder for loops. I'm looking at the camera. And now, if I shut pitch and time off, that sounds amazing. Let's do that same exact thing with key lock on and see how it sounds. Did you hear that? So all you need to do is hold shift and tap these little key lock features in here, which are small. If you got big fingers, sorry. And that'll do it. If you want to go back, you just hold shift again and tap it. Really simple, 3 really useful things, especially in the realm of like open format or radio when you do a lot of transitions and things like that. And I don't just mean mixing transitions, but if you're trying to go creatively from like 80 to 105 BPM track because you've got some pitch range on your gear, being able to do that with key lock and then jumping out of key lock again by holding shift and hitting this and then shutting off key lock and then being able to cut. One of the worst things is when technology comes out and it stifles something that we've been doing for years. So I hope this helps you guys. Any questions, feel free to drop me a comment. Much love and respect. We're out of here. Peace.